I've been cruising on Royal Caribbean for many years, and I've eaten my way around many Royal Caribbean cruise ships, and I absolutely love eating on a cruise. It's so much fun. It's part of the vacation because I don't have to cook, I don't have to clean, I don't have to think about it. It's all made for me. It's like one of the best things about cruising other than the fact that you're getting away from home. But with that in mind, I started thinking about what are the things I wish I could have told myself back in the day about the reality of eating on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I've learned a lot over the years, and a lot of these lessons, I don't want to say have been hard-fought lessons. It's not like going to the Windjammer 17 times is that arduous, but more that I've just had more opportunities to learn these lessons. And now I just consider them pretty much everything I know all the time. But recently I was on a couple different cruises with people who don't cruise that much, and it occurred to me, they're doing things that I learned not to do or ways you could do it even better. And I'll get to that in a little bit as we talk about this video. So I've got a list of the things that I wish someone told me about food on a cruise before I ever went on my first cruise. Number one, it's really worth waiting for the Windjammer cooking stations. Now, it's not that unobvious that there are cooking stations in the Windjammer. When you go to the Windjammer buffet on pretty much every ship, the Vision class doesn't really have them, but there is a cooking station or two or three where you can go to. For breakfast, it's the omelet station. For lunch and dinner, it's some sort of a cooking arrangement. It's either like Asian stir fry, or it's a pasta station, or something else. Doesn't matter. The point is, I usually avoided them because I was just impatient. I didn't want to wait for it. I just wanted to get my food and be on my way. I wanted it now. I was like Veruca Salt, right? Anyway, the point is that as I've cruised more, and I got bored with what was there, but I just decided, you know what, I'm going to change it up. And I went to the cooking stations, and it really opened my eyes. I really came around to this full circle when I was on Anthem of the Seas earlier in summer of 2024, and I ate primarily exclusively in the Windjammer because I was in Europe and we were in late in all the ports, so I really didn't want to go to the main dining room. Plus, I was solo, so I don't sit with myself. Anyway, I digress. The point is that the cooking stations are freshly prepared food. Now, not the food is bad in the buffet stations, but if someone's going to make the food exactly the way you want it, with the ingredients that you want on the spot, man, it tastes so good. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is. And it's included. It's free. It's like one of the best things Royal Caribbean does, and I don't think it gets nearly enough attention. Number two is that you're going to want to go back to the Royal Railway again and again. When Royal Caribbean announced the Royal Railway restaurant on Utopia of the Seas, it was a brand new idea, and quite frankly, I'm not sure what I was expecting with it. But essentially, it's a simulated train experience in which you sit on a train, and it looks like a classic train, and it moves like a classic train, it looks like a classic train, there's windows with scenes going by, there's actors, and while the story is kitschy, and I agree that after you see it about 2 times, the story becomes very secondary, I do think the experience and the food make it something that I want to do every single time. When I did it the first time, I was trying to take it all in, and it's a lot to take in because you got the story, you got the food, you got the ambiance. There's a lot there. Then I did it a second and a third time with my family, and we really started to love this restaurant because, first of all, the food is really good. The desserts are fantastic. The empanadas for the appetizer, the soup is really good. There's a lot of good choices on the menu. And I think it's fun. It's something different that's beyond the usual, well, there's a steakhouse, and there's an Italian restaurant, and there's a sushi place. Like, there's just something different. And I like that. And I actually wanted to go back again and again. And it's really cool. And I love the food that they offer here. And I think it's vastly underrated. And I think going into it, I thought maybe it would be like the Empire Supper Club on Icon of the Seas. A restaurant with a new idea, a little pricey, and you go to it, you would say, I did it, check that box, and then it's back to your usual routine. But ever since then, I've noticed that I've actually been going back to Royal Railway, so I'm not sure I would have known just how much I really like this restaurant. And so to that point, I would think that anybody who hasn't tried it yet really should give it a try. I think it's really, really good. Speaking of things that are really, really good, the food at Coco Cay is phenomenal. I remember back in the day, and this is still the case on Labadee, by the way, traditional private island barbecue food is terrible. I remember when I first started cruising on Disney Cruise Line, the Castaway Cay food was bad, Labadee's food was bad, and the food at Old Coco Cay was bad. And when I say bad, I just mean it's burgers and hot dogs and bad salad and some watermelon. Like, it's nothing terrible, but it's nothing great either. And I distinctly remember we used to go back to the ship for lunch. I remember that being like, that's a great hack right there. To avoid that food because it was just never anything special. We just basically were unimpressed by it. Anyway, All that has changed at Perfect Day at Cocoa Key. While there are opportunities to spend more money on food and experiences like at the Cocoa Beach Club and Hideaway Beach, I really think the food at Cocoa Key is vastly underrated. Whether it is Skipper's Grill or Chill Grill or the Snack Shack, there are really good foods all around there. When I go to the Snack Shack, I'm talking mozzarella sticks, the secret sandwich. There's actually a sandwich you can order off the menu that is not there, but you ask for it. Literally, you call it the secret sandwich. They'll know what you're talking about. There's also at Chill Grill and Skipper's Grill, which, by the way, is the same restaurant, just a different name. I basically have my Chipotle order. I just go there and make a giant bowl of taco meat and salsa and salad and all sorts of veggies. And oh, it's so good. It's kind of embarrassing. Thank God I don't have any video to show you of my order at Chill Grill or Skipper's Grill because there's just a lot of food, but it's so good. And of course, they have burgers and they have hot dogs if that's your thing, but they also have Cuban sandwiches and they have a great salad bar. It is definitely an upgraded feel, and definitely you don't want to go back to the ship for it. It's really, really good. Something, though, that I don't think is worth the money is the prime cuts at Chops Grill. Now, I applaud Royal Caribbean for trying something different and for trying to go beyond the usual. With Icon of the Seas and now Utopia of the Seas, at Chops Grill, which is the specialty restaurant on board, there's a sub-menu that offers you additional cuts of meat for an additional cost. The thing is, I don't think it's worth the money unless you are a steak expert. I am not a steak expert. When I go to a restaurant, whether it's the main dining room or I go to a restaurant on land, we'll order a filet and it tastes like steak. I mean, it's good. I know the difference between a filet and a T-bone and a New York strip and all that, but I don't eat it enough. I'm not enough of a connoisseur to understand the true differences or be able to really benefit from the added cost that comes with the higher quality meat. Totally get that. The thing is, I really feel like if you're not a steak expert, if you're kind of like, yeah, I'm with you, Matt, I just don't think it's worth that money. I did it, I think, definitely did it once. I don't know that I did it twice where I ordered the prime cuts. But I'll tell you from experience, I just don't think it was worth the cost right there. Something else that I learned this the hard way in the main dining room. It's impossible to get coffee with dessert in the main dining room. I try every single time. And every single time I come to the same conclusion. You can't. I don't know why this is so difficult, but you cannot get your coffee and dessert served at the same time. You can get your coffee first. You can get your dessert first, but you will never get them together. I don't know why. You just have to accept this as the reality, where either you have your coffee sitting out there getting cold while you're waiting for your dessert, or you have your dessert and then it's all gone by the time your coffee gets there. And when I say coffee, by the way, I'm asking for espresso. Maybe that's my problem. If I ask for a cup of black coffee, different issue. But that's just a weird nuance. And if that's happened to you, good news, it's not just you. Something else that I think was really helpful when we had kids, and we learned this through experience, was that it's really helpful to stash milk. So when my kids were younger, having cartons of milk was really helpful, milk in general. But after breakfast, you really can't find milk around other than milk that's being used for like coffee and whatnot. So if your kids, or maybe you, want to have a carton of milk later on in the day or the evening, my kids like to have a carton of milk before bed, you really should stash it. So what I mean by that is go to the Windjammer, they have little cartons of milk, grab them, bring them back to your cabin because you're totally allowed to, that's not against the rules. Put it in your in-room fridge and keep it there. Now that fridge is really more of a cooler, so you can't keep more than a day or two. It's gonna really go bad quickly. But for the same day, it's totally fine, and I feel like it's safe enough to be able to drink there. So that's what we would do. We actually stash the milk from the morning and keep it in the room for the evening to be able to enjoy. Going back to my friends I was alluding to earlier in this video, this reminds me of something that's really important, is that if you don't like the food in the main dining room, you really should speak up and ask for something different. Now, all the food in the dining room has various cuisines and types and whatnot, and I'll be real with all of you, it's not all amazing. I often tell people the food in the main dining room ranges between good and very good. A few dishes are excellent, and a few dishes are, they probably wouldn't order that again. That being said, if you order something and you don't like it, you can ask for something else. If you were deciding between one or the other and you picked one and boy, that wasn't a good choice, ask for the other one. Classic examples are salads. If you ordered the steak and don't like that, you really wanted to have the chicken, really, it doesn't take them very long to get it for you, and they're happy to do so. That's the most important thing. I think a lot of people feel like they're putting people out there. It's thinking about this in normal restaurant means. You're at a restaurant on land. It costs money to order something extra. It takes time. On the cruise ship, they're preparing meals for thousands of people, so they can easily turn this around, and most importantly, they want you to have a good time. So Number one, definitely you can order other foods if you don't love it. Number two is if you're not sure about the foods you want to try on the menu, if you're looking through and you're like, gosh, these 2 or 3 things kind of sound interesting, you can order more than one entree. It's totally allowed in the main dining room. There's no extra cost for it, and they encourage it. The dishes are probably smaller than you're expecting. So when you order 2 or 3 dishes, it sounds gluttonous, but it's really not that bad. And you can totally do that. And then you can figure out which one is best. And if one is not great, just let the waiter know, hey, I'm done with this one, but I wanted to try it, didn't love it, but these 2 are great, so we're good. And the last thing that I wish I knew about dining on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship that I wish I told myself or somebody told me back in the day is if you need a fast dinner, you can ask for it. I think all too often people look at the schedule and they say, okay, there's this show at this time, but that means I can't possibly go to the main dining room or especially a restaurant for dinner because there's just not enough time. Now, granted, if that turnaround time is like 20 minutes, yeah, you're right. But if you have like 45 minutes or more, you can ask the staff for a faster meal. Just go there and say, hey, I've got this show or I've got this spa appointment or I've got this thing going on at this time. Can we have an expedited dinner? The staff will try their hardest to make it work. And in my experience, they do a really good job about it. And especially in the main dining room with the new expedited menu, which has been improved back in 2023 into 2024, it really made a big difference. And I find that this is a great workaround. Now, on normal days, I won't say anything because I don't need to be out of there that quickly. And quite frankly, they've done a much better job of making the meal move quickly. So that's good. The thing is, if you're in a rush and need to be out of there but don't want to compromise on where you're eating dinner, let the staff know. 9 out of 10 times, they're happy to help you with it as long as you're not being unreasonable. Again, like 20 minutes, probably not. But if you have at least like half an hour to 45 minutes, you'd be surprised how quickly they can have that come out for you. All right, there you have it. A list of things that I wish somebody told me about food on a cruise back before I started cruising. But hopefully these help you out and you can have a much better cruise with these tips. Let me know in the comments below, what are the things that you wish somebody told you about eating on a Royal Caribbean cruise before you went on board? Maybe we can all learn something together. While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.